What would you do if on the rain-slick streets of Seattle, a runaway prep school boy collapsed into your arms, only for your own infant to stop breathing moments later, while an unseen billionaire watched from the shadows? That single heartbeat of terror ignites our story. A night where struggling food cart vendor Laurel Bennett surrenders her last coat and her last warm empanada to soothe 12-year-old Logan Caldwell, unaware that his father, Ethan Tech Titan, an absentee parent, has been tracking the boy's every move. But compassion spirals into chaos when baby Noah suddenly falls silent in the back of Ethan's SUV, forcing the guilt-stricken CEO to perform infant CPR as paparazzi lights flicker like lightning outside. This is only the first crack of thunder. Ahead lie a back-from-the-dead socialite with an agenda as cold as Puget Sound, a courtroom siege where paper cranes become emergency flares, and a kidnapping that turns the city's fog into a labyrinth of flashing sirens. Stay with us to discover how one fearless act of kindness reshapes 3 lives, topples an empire of lies, and proves that real wealth is measured in love, not headlines. Buckle in, the storm is just beginning. Laurel's food cart had already closed for the evening, but rain hammered so fiercely that the neon reflections on the pavement blurred into a river of shattered color. She shoved her last earnings into a tin box, wrapped her 6-month-old son Noah tight against her chest, and tried to ignore the ache in her back from 12 straight hours of serving empanadas to hurried commuters. Every dollar mattered. Noah's antibiotics cost more than she made in 3 nights, and his cough was growing uglier by the hour. Halfway to the Link light rail station, Laurel spotted a boy curled on a bus stop bench uniform of Cedar Ridge Academy, soaked through tears mingling with rain. He couldn't have been more than 12. "Hey there, sweetheart," she called over the wind. "You'll freeze." The boy flinched, but desperation overrode pride. He whispered that his name was Logan Caldwell, that he jumped from his father's car after a fight with the driver, and now he had no idea where he was. Laurel's own lips were turning purple, yet she stripped off her only coat, draped it over his shivering shoulders, and fished out a still-warm empanada from her satchel. "Eat," she urged, stroking his damp hair. Sometimes a little warmth starts on the inside. 50 yards away inside a gleaming black SUV, billionaire tech mogul Ethan Caldwell watched pulse pounding. GPS trackers and a private security team had failed to locate Logan, but fate or providence had driven Ethan down this very street. He saw his son's head resting against a stranger's chest, saw that stranger hand over her coat while cradling an infant, and shame rose like bile in his throat. When had he last wrapped Logan in anything other than expensive gifts and empty promises? Laurel shielded Logan with her body as a city bus roared past, spraying icy water. "Let's get you somewhere dry," she said. The boy nodded, clutching the empanada like treasure. She tried to flag a cab, but none stopped. Huddling beneath a shop awning, she pulled Noah's blanket higher. The baby's cough rattled louder than the thunder. That was when Ethan stepped from his SUV umbrella, forgotten shoes immediately soaked. "Logan," he called. The boy froze. Laurel spun, eyes widening at the towering figure she recognized from headlines: Seattle's youngest self-made billionaire heir to Caldwell Industries, the man whose name lit up every tech summit marquee. Ethan's face crumpled with guilt. I'm sorry, he's my son. May I take him home?" Logan's shoulders stiffened. Laurel felt the heartbreak radiating off the child. She folded her arms. "He's terrified. Maybe ask him what he needs first." Ethan blinked as if no one had ever spoken to him that way. He knelt beside Logan. "Buddy, I messed up. Let me make it right. Can we at least drive you and your friend to the station? It's the least I can do." Logan's gaze slid to Laurel. She weighed the risk, stranger, danger versus pneumonia for both children. Finally, she nodded. "Only to the station." Inside the SUV, warmth fogged the windows. Laurel kept Noah pressed against her, listening to Logan recount the argument that drove him from the family car driver wouldn't let him stop for food. Father was too busy on a conference call. Ethan's jaw tightened, shame deeper with every word. He glanced at Noah, cheeks fever red. "Your baby, okay, he will be," Laurel lied. The lie shattered a moment later. Noah gave a weak wheeze, chest stuttering, then stopped. Color drained from his tiny face. Laurel's scream sliced the cabin. "Noah, breathe, baby, breathe." She fumbled to lay him across her legs. panic flooding every vein. Ethan lunged across the seat. Move his chin back now, 2 gentle puffs. His voice shook but stayed steady enough to guide her. Years ago, he'd learned infant CPR after Logan's premature birth. The memory surged up like a lifeline. He pinched Noah's nose, breathed once, twice, then paced 2 fingers over the infant's sternum. 1, 2, 3. Noah remained limp. 4, 5. Laurel sobbed. 6. Noah jolted, coughing air, whooshing back into tiny lungs. The SUV rang with Laurel's ragged relief. Logan burst into tears, hugging his father for the first time in months. Laurel stared at Ethan, stunned by the tenderness in a man she'd assumed was all steel and spreadsheets. For Ethan, time fractured, a stranger's baby, had reminded him how fragile life and fatherhood really was. The Link light rail station loomed ahead, but Ethan slowed. "You shouldn't be riding a train in this storm with a sick infant," he said quietly. "Let me take you somewhere safe, or at least let me cover the hospital bill." Laurel shook her head, wiping tears. "What's safe for you isn't free for me. Just drop us, please." Yet in her pocket, the prescription cost still throbbed like a second heartbeat. Antibiotics or rent, she hadn't decided. Ethan cut the engine outside the station. "I owe you more than thanks. Tomorrow morning, Caldwell Industries, South Lake Union, 10 a.m. A part-time position caring for Logan, after school medical coverage for Noah included." He handed her a business card in Boston silver. "I know it sounds insane, but Logan needs you, and I think I do too." Rain hammered the roof. Laurel stared at the card until the letters blurred. She pictured Noah's medicine, Logan's haunted eyes, Ethan's hands saving her son's life seconds earlier. Pride warred with desperation inside her chest. At last she breathed, "I'll come," but only to hear the details. No promises. "Fair." Ethan offered a tentative smile. "For what it's worth, you already kept one promise tonight to a boy you didn't even know." Laurel pushed open the door, Logan's borrowed coat still around his shoulders. "Keep the coat," she said. "Seattle's storms don't forgive." Logan whispered, "Will you really come tomorrow?" Laurel forced a smile. "One promise at a time, kiddo." She stepped into the rain, Noah's sleeping card clutched like a talisman. As the SUV disappeared into traffic, she looked skyward. Clouds still churned, but somewhere above them, dawn would come. She wasn't sure if this night had delivered salvation or danger, only that nothing would ever be the same. "I'm so sorry to pause here and leave you in suspense, but we need a quick break before plunging into what happens next. First, what would you have done if you were Laurel, accepted the offer on the spot, or walked away? Second, do you think Ethan truly deserves a second chance at fatherhood after what we've seen so far? And if this story is touching your heart, please tap that heart button and give the video a like. Your support keeps these stories alive. Sliding from the rain-drenched night into the neon pulse of a brand new morning, our story slips through Laurel Bennett's trembling fingers like the silver business card she still can't believe is real. She arrives at Caldwell Industries' glass tower in South Lake Union, feeling like she's walked onto a cinema set, security gates, marble floors, holographic stock tickers. But nothing dazzles her more than the sight of 12-year-old Logan racing down the hallway, arms outstretched, grinning as if she's sunlight made flesh. Ethan Caldwell follows tie-crooked hair, uncharacteristically windswept, as though he's been pacing the lobby since dawn. "Laurel," he says, tone softer than she's ever heard. "We have a pediatrician on standby, a private pharmacy delivery. Noah's antibiotics will be here within the hour." He pauses, searching her face. "And the job offer stands. Half days, full medical, flexible hours so you can keep your food card on weekends." Pride lurches inside her chest, but Logan's hand slips into hers, tiny nails bitten from weeks of anxiety. In that moment, the answer writes itself. She nods. Weeks pass. Storm clouds lift. And in Ethan's Medina mansion overlooking Lake Washington, something miraculous unfolds. Laurel's laughter spills across polished floors, echoing where silence used to live. She sneaks healthy snacks into Logan's backpack, teaches him how to whistle, and helps him craft an origami crane for Noah's crib. Ethan, witnessing their bond, starts coming home earlier each evening, first by an hour, then 2, until he surprises the household by arriving before sunset, sleeves rolled, asking shyly, Need an extra pair of hands for dinner? Laurel almost forgets he's a CEO until she catches him in the study at 3 a.m., cross-referencing patents and bedtime story ideas in the same notebook. I'm learning he explains half ashamed, half hopeful. She sees the billionaire armor cracking to reveal a father reborn, and something else, a man staring at her as if she's the missing algorithm in every half-finished equation of his life. One Friday, Ethan insists on a proper night out. You've spent every evening saving the rest of us, he says. Tonight, allow Seattle to return the favor. Laurel agrees, trading flower-stained aprons for a borrowed sapphire dress that makes her feel like an imposter, until she sees Ethan waiting outside the restaurant, dark suit, unbuttoned collar, eyes wide, with something dangerously close to wonder. Their table sits beside floor-to-ceiling windows. Fairies glide across the black water, scattering gems of light. Between courses, Ethan reaches for her hand. Laurel, he begins, voice raw. I thought the only thing big enough to fill the hole my late wife left was more work, more headlines. I was wrong. I was blind. Because it took one night, one act of kindness to show me what a life actually costs. A hush falls as he struggles for words. Laurel's pulse hammers. In her mind, she counts the fractures still healing inside both of them. Ethan, she whispers, bracing for whatever confession will follow. But the confession never lands because at that second, the restaurant's double doors swing open, admitting a woman whose presence feels like a frostbite wind in July. The entire room stares, sleek auburn hair, diamond-studded clutch, a couture dress worth more than Laurel's year of rent. The maitre d' looks ready to faint. Ethan's wine glass slips from his hand, shattering against the tablecloth. Laurel, he breathes, voice cracking, This can't be happening. The woman glides to their table, smile scalpel sharp. Of course it's happening, darling. Her gaze drills into Laurel. I'm Vanessa Sterling, Ethan's wife. Laurel's world tilts. She's read articles, the tragic boating accident, the Memorial Foundation. Vanessa dead, Ethan widowed, Logan motherless. Yet here Vanessa stands flawless, very much alive. Restaurant chatter dies. A dozen phones rise, camera lenses gleaming like predatory eyes. Ethan pushes to his feet, face white. Vanessa? We buried you. What is this? Oh, Ethan. She pats his cheek as if soothing a child. You buried a coffin of rocks and guilt. I relocated Paris mostly until I realized family is priceless. Her gaze flicks to Laurel's trembling hands, and clearly replaceable. Laurel rises, chair legs, screeching heat flooding her skin. She has enough abandonment scars to recognize the blade Vanessa wields. But Logan, Noah, Ethan, everything they built spins in jeopardy. Before she can speak, Vanessa leans closer, perfume sickly sweet. You're the nanny. Now that I'm back, your services are unnecessary. Flashbulbs erupt. Paparazzi have stormed the entrance. One shouts, Vanessa, how did you survive? Another shoves forward, knocking Laurel sideways. She staggers toward a wall of glass that separates the dining floor from a plunge to the sidewalk below. In a heartbeat, Ethan launches across the space arm, locking around her waist, dragging her clear just as a camera crashes against the window and splinters into glittering shards. Gasps ripple. Security rushes in, but the viral image is already captured. Billionaire hero rescuing a woman who is decidedly not his wife. Sirens approach outside. Rumors swirl inside. Vanessa watches the chaos with cool detachment, then whispers, "See you at home, dear," and vanishes into the night. Laurel's legs buckle. Ethan holds her upright, but she pushes away, eyes blazing. You told me she was dead. Her voice quivers between grief and fury. How could you? I believed she was. Ethan chokes. I swear, I'll explain everything. Explain to Logan first, Laurel says, stepping back. Then maybe you'll have words left for me. She slips past restaurant staff, ignoring pleas to stay for police statements. Outside cameras flash raindrops, slant headlines already writing themselves. Back from the dead socialite, crashes billionaire's date. Laurel hails a cab, pressing Noah's picture against her chest like a shield. Inside, she replays the moment Ethan saved her from the glass. Genuine instinct or performance for the cameras, doubt digs its claws deep. By dawn, the city buzzes with scandal. Talk radio hosts question whether Ethan orchestrated the drama to launch a new charity. Bloggers analyze Laurel's recycled dress, call her mystery mistress. And in a gated mansion, a 12-year-old boy overhears Vanessa on the phone, plotting something about custody image leverage. Logan's stomach knots. The origami crane he's folding tears along the wing. I hate to cut our tale at this razor-sharp peak, but we need a short pause to catch our breath. Forgive me for the interruption. If you were Laurel, would you walk away from Ethan forever or fight for the family you've built? What do you think Vanessa's real motive is for reappearing now? If this story has you glued to the screen, please tap the heart and drop a like so we can keep the suspense flowing. Right now, when the headlines screamed, "Back from the dead, socialite claims her throne," Laurel Bennett closed every browser tab and packed Logan's favorite snacks into a lunch sack he'd never see. She quit the Caldwell estate the next dawn before Vanessa's stilettos could echo down the marble hallways, because pride is louder than any paycheck and heartache travels faster than morning light. But 3 months later, in the drip-gray drizzle of a Seattle October, that same pride thawed under the desperate knock of Marilyn Blake Ethan's longtime aide. Marilyn's mascara ran like ink on parchment as she pleaded in the doorway of Laurel's tiny Rainier Valley apartment. "Logan's fading," she whispered. "He eats only when your empanadas show up in his memories." Laurel's resolve crumbled. She pictured the boy's brave grin, the origami cranes, the way he'd tuck Noah's blanket around the baby each night. By dusk, she was back in Medina, only to find not celebration, but siege. Vanessa's luxury sedan idled outside with tinted windows and a driver Laurel didn't recognize. Inside, Ethan looked hollow sleepless. Legal threats plastered his desk. Vanessa, backed by her parents' fortune, had filed for sole custody. She claimed Ethan was an unfit guardian, seduced by the hired help. Tomorrow's hearing would decide Logan's fate. Ethan's hands trembled as he confessed, "I couldn't fight her and protect you at the same time." Laurel reached across the chasm of paper. "Then we fight together." That night, Logan discovered them strategizing in the study. He tried to stay brave, but his voice cracked. "If she wins, do I lose both of you?" Laurel knelt, meeting him eye to eye. "Nothing breaks the family we choose. But families must fight clean and true no matter how dirty the other side plays." The next morning, a thick fog rolled across Lake Washington. Laurel buckled Noah into his car seat, while Logan carefully tucked a new origami crane into his backpack, this one with a secret message folded inside. Halfway to the courthouse, the Caldwell SUV was cut off by Vanessa's sedan. Tires screeched. Ethan's driver swore. A man in a chauffeur's cap yanked Logan's door open and dragged him out before anyone could react. Noah burst into frightened cries. Laurel leaped from the passenger seat, but the sedan peeled away. Ethan sprinted after it until his lungs flamed, helpless against German horsepower. Sirens were minutes away, too many minutes. Inside the speeding car, Logan's heart hammered. He remembered Laurel's words, "Fight clean, fight true." He slipped the crane from his backpack, unfolded it just enough to reveal one bold word, "Help," then refolded it with clumsy fingers. At the next red light, he cracked the window and let the paper bird flutter into the fog. 3 blocks away, a cyclist named Roman Ostergaard noticed a pale blue crane spiraling onto the bike lane. The single word in red marker chilled him. He flagged a patrol unit parked nearby. Dispatch flashed an amber alert. Traffic cameras pinned the fleeing vehicle at Mercer Street. Police intercepted moments later, guns drawn. Vanessa's hired driver surrendered. Laurel and Ethan arrived as officers escorted Logan, shivering but safe, into their arms. Ethan's tears soaked his son's hair. Laurel pressed Noah's tiny fist against Logan's cheek, sealing the circle no paper threat could sever. Vanessa, arrested for kidnapping, watched from the back of a squad car, makeup flawless, expression unreadable. For once, every camera lens turned away from her and toward the reunited family. That single image, Ethan cradling Logan while Laurel shielded them both, rocketed across social feeds, obliterating the notion that she could claim moral high ground. In court the following day, Vanessa's counsel withdrew. No amount of inheritance could spin a kidnapping video. The judge dismissed her custody petition with prejudice and, at Ethan's request, granted a restraining order to protect both children and Laurel. The gavel struck, echoing like a thunderclap of liberation. Outside, reporters begged for comment. Ethan took Laurel's hand, steady, public, unapologetic. "The woman beside me saved my son's soul long before she saved his life," he told the microphones. "We stand together." Laurel's pulse pounded, But when she looked at Logan, freed from fear, smiling bravely, she knew no scandal was stronger than the truth laid bare. 5 years later, on a sun-drenched porch overlooking a smaller, cozier house near Green Lake Laurel, watched Logan, now 17 varsity rowing captain, teach 7-year-old Noah how to fold the perfect crane. Inside, Ethan coaxed their toddler daughter Rose into releasing a fistful of cookie crumbs. Caldwell Industries had pivoted 10% of annual profits, funded shelters for single parents. Laurel, now board chair of the Bennett Foundation, turned Seattle's food truck alleys into job pipelines. Ethan's investors whispered that his softer heart sharpened his mind. Quarterly earnings seemed to agree. Vanessa, she remarried a European venture capitalist and sent Logan a polite graduation card. Closure can wear expensive stationery, but Logan filed it under unanswered. He'd already chosen the mother worth answering to. That night, as twilight painted the lake indigo, Ethan lifted a glass of sparkling cider. To Laurel, who taught a billionaire that wealth is measured in nights spent reading stories, not stocks traded before dawn, she laughed, pushing her chair back, belly gently rounded, with their second daughter due in winter. To Logan, who proved paper cranes can carry more weight than private jets. And to Noah, who thumped the table and declared, "To empanadas, because without them, none of us would be here." Laughter rippled through the house, warm as the oven glow. Laurel leaned her head on Ethan's shoulder. The storm that once swallowed Seattle now felt like distant thunder, a memory that still shimmered on rainy nights, but no longer threatened to flood their lives. "I used to think destiny arrived like lightning," Ethan murmured. "Turns out it's quieter, like a woman taking off her coat for someone else's child." Laurel squeezed his hand. "Or a boy folding hope into paper wings." "Before I let you go, 2 quick questions for your heart. First, was Logan's paper crane rescue the justice Vanessa deserved, or would you have scripted a harsher fate? Second, which character's transformation surprised you most, and why? Tell me what you thought of this story. Comment No.3 if you loved it, No.1 if it missed the mark, or No.2 if you felt somewhere in between. And please share which country you're watching from. I love seeing our global circle grow. Your likes, hearts, and shares are the fuel that keeps these tales soaring on their own paper wings.